Hello, everybody. Welcome to the session on Contact Center as a Service, API integrations and use cases. My name is Dan Deneen. I am the Senior Director of Sales Solution Engineering here at InflowCX. I've spent my entire 35 plus year career in contact center, most all of them leading technology teams supporting contact center operations and infrastructure. My teams have managed ACD, IVR, dialer, server, voice and data networking, CRM applications, call routing, kind of all the technologies that help the operations teams to be successful. I think that's kind of pertinent to this subject, obviously. And a little bit of history, I was on the first team that implemented the first carrier ANI or caller ID delivery to a contact center solution. So it was kind of the first big integration for me. We were a beta site with AT&T, and then subsequently did the first contact center screen pop implementation with Nortel and Avaya, going back to the late 1980s, early 90s, I think. So that was my introduction to some complex API work, and that gives me a little sense of where it was and where it's gone. So today we're going to do a little bit of who InflowCX is, and then we're going to jump right into the API use cases and integrations. So who is InflowCX? We're an innovative provider of strategic advisory, deployment, and managed services for contact centers, kind of hitting the customer experience along with unified communications services. We help organizations with guidance and selection of technologies, implementation of the technology, and then ongoing optimization and support of contact center services. We do that across a contact center solutions, unified communication office systems, and then a number of different products that are in the support infrastructure like CX services, WFM, AI is certainly an emerging one, analytics and other key customer strategies that are used for support of the call center. And we do that in a vendor neutral way. We are agnostic in helping clients select a technology partner. We do implementations across multiples of the primary CCaaS players. So that enables us to help you select the most applicable product to your needs and doesn't tie us to any particular vendor. We have over 75 employees now. We've done over 1,000 engagements with mid-market to enterprise organizations around the various solutions we offer. Over 500 of those are CCaaS installations. We implement Five9, Genesys, NICE. So we've done several implementations on behalf of them. And then over 300 contact center consulting engagements, and these usually around people, process, technology evaluations and assessments, and then 1,000 unified communication projects. So just a few accolades. We're Five9, Genesys, and NICE. We sell them, but we're also implementation partners. On the NICE side, we're a Platinum SIP, or Certified Implementation Partner, which is the highest level you can attain. And then we do Zoom and RingCentral sales and implementations as well. So who are some of our customers? We span all of the various industry verticals. So we're able to address contact center needs across all of those, from tech to retail to hospitality, BPO services. And this is a smattering of our customers that we deal with in those various verticals. So we deal with the world's best and biggest organizations to help innovate their customer experience with the various solutions. And similarly, we like to partner with industry-leading technology players, and we're constantly looking at new ones, especially with the evolution of technology and the pace that occurs these days. It's a constantly evolving need. And so in the CCaaS space, Genesys, Five9, NICE, probably typically in the top three, and we deal with a number of the other players as well. Similarly, in the CX ecosystem, if you're not using the products that come with Genesys or Five9 or one of the other players, we have other partners that we work with that can provide point solutions for those various technologies as well. And then similarly, in the UCaaS space, RingCentral, Zoom, Teams, Fuse are all big players in that area. So we partner up with the best, the biggest, and the best, and have a very broad portfolio of partners that we can call on at any time. Okay, so the topic for today is API integrations and use cases. I'll be reviewing some common uses of APIs and integrations. There are also many others that I probably won't hit on here that are unique to customer CRM applications. A lot of customers have their own applications that they customized over the years, and runs the gamut of different things that those kinds of customers do with their own implementations and integrations. And my team has done implementations, both the packaged solutions like a Salesforce, as well as integrations to custom CRMs that customers have. So just to level set a little bit, there are many terms used to kind of describe integrations. Some use APIs, some integrate in other manners. For today's discussion, I'm defining APIs as being an enabler to allow two or more unique systems to connect with each other and exchange information to enable services and processes. So this discussion is kind of as much about integrations as it is about specifically APIs. But what is an API? Probably most people know it's an application programming interface. APIs are mechanisms that allow two software components to communicate with each other. And the benefit of APIs is there's a set of definitions, protocols, and standards around those that can be used across different services. So API architecture is usually explained as in terms of a client and a server. So the application sending the request is called the client. The application sending the response or responding to that request is called the server. So you could look at that as a CCaaS telephony platform, could be a client requesting information from a CRM system or the server. There's a number of different types of APIs. Over the years, there's been a tremendous amount of improvement and simplification with integrating using these APIs. And a lot of that has been driven by standards and the improvements in web applications and a move from proprietary systems to more open systems. And the best example I can use is the one I was talking about at the very beginning when I worked with AT&T and the providers to do the first screen pop with Annie. That took us 9 months to implement. If we were to, if we had a client now who wanted to implement a REST API to do an Annie screen pop with their CRM, that can be done in as little as an hour. So that, to me, that is one of the main applications for APIs and integrations, and it is becomes so much simpler due to the standards and the processes that are available now versus other. Now, there are a lot of proprietary uses out there. They're often used in contact center applications, and more and more, though, we're seeing that customers and the CCaaS providers are moving toward pushing REST APIs is kind of the most common way to do things. So within the API infrastructure, there are different systems that provide or invoke APIs kind of relating to contact center services. So the main three providers in the process would be the CCaaS providers themselves, so the NICE, Genesys, Five9 type players, customers who have CRM systems that need to be called or that have the data that needs to be used in those API services, and then third-party hosted API services. So I'll talk briefly about each of those. So within the CCaaS space, and again, for the NICEs and Genesyses and Five9s of the world, in order to utilize those, or for them to utilize a customer CRM system, there are certain system administration services and APIs that need to be done. Most of those are around authenticating the user and making sure that that request is done in a secure manner. So you see APIs that help set up that communication and ensure that the person that's requesting the information is, in fact, the person that's authorized to do that. And then you see the CCaaS providers also enable the systems to be used with APIs to do things like add users. If you can think about it, somebody that had to add 500 agents, and if you had to do that one at a time, it could take a long time to do that. Well, there's other ways to do that. You can submit an Excel spreadsheet, or you can use the vendor's APIs to have your system send the full list and just implement them one time. So there's a number of APIs that could be invoked on the system administration side on a CCaaS player that just help make things simpler, especially for the bigger companies that are moving into the cloud space. Once you've got that authentication and the connectivity done, now you can use it probably in the most common manner and beneficial manners to the contact center is to use it for call processing. So CCaaS scripts often call a CRM system to do a lookup on an account number or a customer's phone number or some other entered data to determine and find that customer call record or history record to be able to then present information to the agent on a screen pop or to use it for call routing. And I think common examples of that would be VIP routers, customers. If you want to route them to specific agents or agent groups, you can do that with a lookup using an API to query the CRM system. We also see CRMs often use the CCaaS providers to do things like send outbound call lists. If you don't want to manually upload your calling lists every day, you need to integrate and push those leads or have the leads pulled so that you can populate the call list for the day. And I think a very common one that we see for integrations is, say, a lending company or home security systems. When the leads are provided to them, a lot of times they're provided to 3 or 4 of the their competitors at the same time, and it's critical to be the first one to call them. So we'll see leads come in and automatically pushed to the CCaaS provider outbound system to initiate a call within a minute. And so those are kinds of things that are being done by the CRM talking to the CCaaS provider. Once you get through the call processing part of things, at the end of the call or at the end of the day, a CRM system can pull contact history and merge that with other business intelligence systems. So it's a very common thing to retrieve reports, individual call records, call recordings, chat, email, SMS transcripts, and other transactional data that then can be merged with like Salesforce data or other things. So those are kind of post-call updates. And then there's a number of system function APIs within the CCaaS providers. So one that I've seen happening more and more with all the PCI compliance requirements out there for credit card capture, it becomes very important to mask the credit card and not have the agent involved in the process of being able to hear or have the credit card number recorded. So there's an ability to stop and start recording where the CRM initiates the request through an API to the contact center system to stop the recording. So a number of ways that systems are now talking to contact center application systems or telephony platforms. Then there's the customer CRM. There are a number of different things that are done there. You've got players like Salesforce, Zendesk, ServiceNow, and there are more and more canned package capabilities available with them to simplify the integration between the contact center providers and their packages. And then those are enabling things like simple screen pop in the hour that I talked about, updating with contact history at the end of a call, dialer list exchange, screen pops with cases and ticket updates. The applications are really endless once you have the customer's data. And then the final party in the mix sometimes is third-party hosted API services. So healthcare platforms, bank or payment processors. There's a number of customers that we've implemented that do automated payment processing in an IVR and have to communicate with a third-party hosted application to post payments. Healthcare platforms also often are in the cloud and host client information or like provider or patient information. So many times it's not the customer system that we have to integrate a CCaaS platform to, but a third-party platform. So we'll jump into some common use cases. I've hit a few of them already, but I've kind of broken them into 2 categories: customer-oriented use cases, and then contact center efficiency or service use cases. And you'll find that there's some overlap between those. Some services with API address both of those. So some examples of customer-oriented use cases. It used to be that integrations were more voice-oriented. We're seeing now that we need to do the same kind of integrations across the preferred contact channels. So if a customer wants to use chat, SMS, email, social media, any of those channels, the same kind of integrations to get customer data need to be done across all those channels. And once you've got that access and can get that across those channels, then you can do things like VIP or right agent routing. If you can get if you can get the call to the right agent the first time with the right information about the customer, your call is going to be cleaner for the agent, for the customer, and your calls are going to be shorter. So, the use of caller ID or ANI and account information to determine who the customer is, and business routing rules in the contact center platform will allow you to do things like VIP routing, or send customers to the customer support skill, or know that a customer's had maybe a shipping delay in their order and needs to go to a support team, or has an open ticket on something and has been an angry customer. So having that data gives you so much flexibility about what you then want to do with business rules and routing. There's a lot of self-service applications out there. Claims processing, I think, is a common one. New claims, status of claims, processing, status of where the claim sits. If it's waiting for more information, customers can provide that information automatically in a lot of cases. Certainly shipping status, product information, store hours. Sometimes, those can be done without it, an integration, but sometimes the CRM applications are changed, and that's what initiates, different FAQ information or different store hours being put out on the for the IVR to access. SMS or email or reminders and alerts. You guys are all probably getting more and more of those. Doctor offices are sending SMS alerts. That's usually done by the CRM system when they have an appointment, notifying the CCaaS provider, and the telephony system then sending out the SMS or an email. Doing blast emails or SMS is a common use case anymore, especially emails on marketing campaigns or things like that. Payment processing. So more and more call centers that don't want to deal with the PCI implications of having their agents take payments. So the ability to do a secure payment in an IVR, or to provide account balances, things like that, can be easily done now. Although there are constant challenges with doing the integrations with payment processors, because they generally don't like you to help you out a lot. They just kind of give you the APIs and say, go for it. And then the recent, more recent additions of artificial intelligence, all the things that we've been doing on integrations and API use now are enhanced by improved artificial intelligence, natural language, and those systems are becoming more and more prevalent to front-end phone calls, to be able to more kind of intelligently and more naturally interact with customers. But they need the customer data from the CRM systems or wherever they get it to be able to do those in a manner that's successful. So I think that we're seeing now that the AI solutions are being incorporated into the same kinds of things that all the voice and IVR solutions in the past have done. From a contact center use case, so when I did the ANI and screen pop deal a few years ago, the whole effort was around providing information to the agent so that they didn't have to ask all the questions, and to reduce talk time. Anytime you can cut out 30 seconds of average handle time across thousands of calls, there's a huge amount of savings that can be incorporated into that. And I have seen in some customer instances that you can save up to 30 seconds. I've done consulting engagements where we've sat with the agents and observed agents that, in some cases have to authenticate the user and may spend over a minute trying to get all the information they need to do that. If you can capture that information with a lookup in the IVR and then provide a screen pop, the savings is, can be huge. And the agents love it too. Certainly being able to do that again across all the channels, it will save you time. And the same services being done in a consistent manner, regardless of that channel, is important for the agent and for the efficiency within the contact center. Obviously, the more you can do self-service, the more contacts you can deflect and not have to serve with an agent, and allow your agents to handle the more important calls that they're really needed for. So payments, status, frequent information, reorders, all those things are, very beneficial to reducing the amount of overall talk time within a contact center. Automated case creation, when calls come in, if you can pop a case and let the agent start right there, or if you can find the ticket that's already there for a customer and start right in and see the notes that were there from their earlier transactions, those all save huge amounts of time and are, obviously more friendly to the customer. And then kind of lastly, the right agent routing. Nobody likes to be transferred. And if you know more about that caller and you can get that call to the right agent the first time and not have to bounce them around, you save a ton of time. Especially I've seen cases where the transfers are done and the originating agent has to stay on the call with them. So find out who your customer is and find out what they need and get them to the right person the first time. And then outbound lead and sales management automation. Obviously not having to do manual processes to download lists and to do various things like SMS appointment reminders, and to be able to do that in a manner where it's efficient and quick is important. So, okay. Over the years, we've also seen the main providers of CRM applications enhancing their platforms to make this easier and easier. So if you're a Salesforce customer, ServiceNow, Zendesk, Microsoft Dynamics, Zoho, those are ones that we've seen start to do things like embed the agent, so that an agent can work within Salesforce, but still get things like simple screen pop, or do click to call to make an outbound call, or post-call updates to feed the reason for the call, or notes that were taken during the call into the CRM system. And then, like I said, the ability to do quick leads with the healthcare, financial, automotive clients is becoming more and more important. We also deal a lot with customer proprietary CRM systems. And, a lot of times the customer may have to build an API to do that, but it's become easier and easier to do that. And, shouldn't shy away just because you don't have one of the package solutions. Okay, lastly, is this all simple? I wish it was. It's a lot easier than it used to be. But there are challenges that you should be aware of. One of the biggest ones we run into is just the customers having a developer who, number one, knows what they need to do on their own application system, and then has time with the competing activities that go on with the company. Everybody seems to have a backlog of development. So freeing up those resources to be able to work on things during the implementation is important. And then the customer being ready, just competing priorities. Sometimes one thing needs to be implemented before another thing, and it delays the building of APIs because you're trying to get your agents live. API sources, like I mentioned, the payment processors, a lot of them aren't going to give you a whole lot of help. They're going to tell you, here's the APIs, they're published out on our website, go find them and figure out how to do it. So you need somebody that can navigate those kinds of systems and understand the various steps that are done to utilize the right APIs. And then incomplete or unclear documentation. Sometimes it's really hard to find good documentation on the vendor products websites. And then lack of understanding of use cases. You need to be thinking about, what do I want to do for an integration? What customer data do I want access to? And how do I get it? And then finally, testing challenges. When you're doing a lot of these integrations, you want to be working in a development environment, and then you need to move it to production. And sometimes customers don't have test accounts to do that, and don't really want to be testing that stuff with live accounts. So I'll wrap it up with, despite these challenges, there are a ton of benefits to integrating your CRM system with the CCaaS platforms. And it's easier and easier all the time. It's not as difficult as you might think. So with that, I'll open it up for a few questions if you have any.
I don't see any questions, Tim.
No question.
Dan, sorry.
Must have been super clear. Okay, if there's no questions, thank you all for joining, and good luck with your API integrations.
Awesome. Thanks, Dan.
All right,
Have a good
thank you
one,
guys.
everybody.
Bye.